Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jacari Henderson, and I welcome you to the Gamma Kappa Omega Chapter College Application Virtual Workshop. Today is Sunday, September the 19th, and we will begin our presentation at 3:08. All right, we're going to go ahead and go to the next slide. So here's the agenda. We will do a welcome that will be presented by me, Jacari Henderson, the president of the Gamma Kappa Omega Chapter. Next, we'll have the introduction of our CAP program, which stands for College Application Process, that will be presented by Jaylen M. Next, we'll have our College Application Process 101, that will be presented by me, Jacari Henderson. Next will be our FAFSA topic, and it will be presented by Titania Mason. Then we'll have our scholarship portion presented by Caprice Riley. And then lastly, we with choosing a major, that will be presented by Chloe Lenore. All right, so again, I just want to welcome everybody. Thank you all for signing up for this workshop. Obviously, with the pandemic, things look a little different. Normally, we would be hosting this particular workshop in person, but because of the COVID restrictions, we are hosting this event virtual. We have worked with Carbondale Community High School in implementing our CAP program prior to COVID, where we were actually come in and visit with the students, helping them throughout the process of applying to college, talking about scholarships, and really preparing them for the next step. Again, we thank you all for signing up. We hope everyone is able to get some insightful and educational information that will help them in their educational pursuits. So again, like I said, Jacari Henderson, welcoming you all to our workshop. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jaylen M, who will talk about what the CAP program is.
Thank you, Sor. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure that you all are here and to be speaking with you all about our CAP program. Before I get into it, I would like to share with you all Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated's mission statement. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority mission is to cultivate and encourage high scholastic and ethical standards to promote unity, friendship among college women, and study, help and alleviate problems concerning girls and women in order to improve their social stature, to maintain a progressive interest in college life, and to be a service to all mankind. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated was founded on January 15th, 1908 in Minor Hall at Howard University in Washington, D.C. Gamma Kappa Omega chapter was chartered on March 15th, 1941 in Carbondale, Illinois. Target 1 of our CAP program, in case you didn't know, CAP stands for College Admission Process. It is our signature program, CAPS M. Alpha Kappa Alpha will assist students as they seek admission to college by providing guidance and support in completing the application and enrollment process through 2018 through 2022. Of course, there are steps to every process. In regards to our step of the CAP process, STEP stands for or includes being able to search for schools and scholarships, testing, which helps prepare you test for the test that you go through with the admission process. Evaluations, what schools are you actually interested in? I am sure that you have like a top 5 that you choose from in the beginning, how you want to evaluate where you would like to go. Punctuality, being able to create a timeline to include completing and submitting applications, essays, financial aid forms, and other required materials to ensure no important deadlines are missed. Positive outlook, being able to keep a positive attitude and be optimistic about your future. All of these steps towards the process is worth the CAP process and being able to be admitted and being able to figure out what you want to do and where you would like to go, where your interest is taking you. Our CAP program includes researching various colleges, completing college applications, attending college prep workshops, partnering with local high school students, navigating the college admission process to all institutions, test preparations for ACTs and SATs, personal statement preparations, scholarships, FAFSA applications, and more, which also include gift cards that will be provided for those that complete tasks and challenges, gaining a wealth of knowledge, mentors to assist you throughout the process, ensuring deadlines and required documents have been submitted, learning about the difference between HBCUs and PWIs, learning different majors, choices, and careers, occupations, gain opportunities to get community service hours, scholarship opportunities available through participation, and resume building are all included in the CAP process. There are meetings and times in regards to being able to apply and being able to participate in our program. The second Tuesday of each month during the SSR hour is when the meeting date and time is scheduled. And please contact Lori Corster to sign up in case you're interested. It is very worth it. Moving forward, I would like to pass this off to Jacari Henderson to talk about applying for College 101.
Thank you. So the next topic that we will discuss is applying for colleges. So giving you the tips to help you navigate that college application process. So here are some prerequisites in regards to starting that process. So we really encourage students to really start talking about the college application process as early as your freshman year. I think sometimes we think that, your junior or your senior year are the best times to start looking into, your higher education needs. Well, I come to tell you, freshman year is when you want to start at least kind of gathering some information about maybe major choices that you're interested in, where you would like to go to school. So these are things to be thinking about as soon as your freshman year. However, during your junior year is when that preparation time really starts to kick in. So you want to move to finish any requirements needed to apply to certain colleges. Now that we have kind of been in the midst of a pandemic, a lot of institutions are now kind of changing some of the required documents in regards to applying for school. So before we used to see ACT or SATs being required for certain institutions for admission purposes, some schools are starting to move away from that. However, you want to make sure that you're reaching out to the institution admissions office to see if they are requiring that as a required document so that you can be prepared. I always encourage students, if they've taken the SAT now in the state of Illinois, their junior year, it's always important to try to retest to see if you can get a higher score that could open up more opportunities as scholarship or even maybe going to your dream school if you're a few points off. You want to make sure that if you're only accepted, maybe you have a top 3 list, maybe you have a top 5 list, you want to make sure that you're checking those institutions' websites to see specifically what they're looking for. Some institutions may require that you have letters of recommendation. You write a letter basically describing why you should be admitted. Some may not. You want to know before you start that application process what you're up against. The timeline, deadlines are also very important to list so that you're making sure that you're working through the process and getting admitted to that school. Again, as I said before, you want to retake your test as many times as possible. It opens up a lot of scholarship opportunities. After your junior year, they do have resources like Khan Academy that are free to students to kind of help them gear up to retake or to even prepare to take the SAT. Narrowing down your list of schools. So by the time you're a junior in high school, obviously you have probably an idea of where you'd like to go to school. Maybe you don't have a top 3 list. Maybe you have 10 schools that you're interested in potentially attending. You want to make sure that you begin to narrow down that list. It is a great idea to visit every school that you think is a potential institution that you will attend. It's very hard to envision yourself as a student if you're kind of just looking and browsing on the website or stories you maybe heard from family members, friends, really to envision yourself as a student on that campus. There are a lot of resources available to students who may not be able to afford visiting a college as far as like gas money. So you always want to check with your institution, so your high school, to see if there's any incentives that are for students who may not have the funding necessarily to get them to that actual visit. You want to apply based on the information that the colleges have sent you. So again, you don't want to, apply to an institution that requires an SAT and maybe you haven't taken that test. Well, obviously, then you won't meet those admission standards. So you want to make sure that you are following the institution's applications, procedures, and protocol before applying. By October of your senior year, you should know where you are applying to. And this is in terms of your references, your test scores, et cetera. Many institutions will have application deadlines. Some will have priority deadlines, some will have a hard deadline. It's important for you to know those so that you can keep a record keeping of the institutions that you've applied to, those deadlines that will come up so that you can check things off of your list. It's also very important to apply early, because in the event that there are academic scholarships that are awarded based upon a deadline schedule, if you miss out on those opportunities and maybe you're a high achieving student, then you've probably missed out on $4,000 to $5,000, sometimes even more than that, depending on the institution. So you want to make sure that you're staying on track and on target with completing application required documents. You don't want to leave the decision until several days before you're getting ready to submit an application, or even maybe prior to you going to school. You want to have some type of idea of what it is that you're looking at the institution for, whether that's a major choice, whether that's, the registered organizations that they have on their campus. You want to have a well-rounded knowledge about that particular institution. I always tell students, and I discourage them from just applying for schools just for the heck of it. If you know you're not interested and there's an application fee associated, then you don't want to be wasting money on those additional applications. Obviously, if you're interested in several different schools and you're not really for sure where you want to go, and you're really trying to kind of maximize by visiting those schools, doing more research, then I would encourage you to do that. But if you have no interest and one of your friends or your significant other is just applying to the school, don't just do it because of that particular reason. It needs to suit you and what you want in your educational pursuits. Visit some colleges. So every university is different. Some are bigger, some are smaller, some are a little bit more diverse, some may not, some may have more money, some are public, some are private. You'll never really know until you start to do that research. And even in doing that research, there are some things that may not come to a blind eye on the website unless you actually visit that school. It's important during those visits that you even maybe inquire about sitting in on a class, talking to other students to see what are some of the things that they really enjoy about that particular institution, what kind of sets it apart from other schools. Again, there are hundreds and thousands of universities across the world, some in different countries, and it's really, really necessary for you to figure out what is the best fit for you. I may have an interest that Chloe may not have. Maybe I may be going there because it's very diverse and because of the, externships and internship opportunities, and it may be something different for someone else. You want it to fit what it is that you want to get out of this. This is a really big investment, your education, and you want to take it serious from the beginning to the end. So again, I talked about sitting in a class. That's important to really see you get that experience of being a student in that particular class. Ask yourself certain questions. Are you happy with the environment? Do you like the facilities that they have? Do you like the resources that they have available to you? Because these are all things that are supposed to help you navigate and benefit you while you're on that college campus. So again, can I see myself here? Is this a good fit for me? Are the programs that they're offering, are they beneficial? Are there some of the ones that are top ranking? Those are questions that you want to ask yourself while you're visiting those institutions. I always encourage students to ask the professors, why is it that they're working at that institution? Why are they so invested in this institution's missions? Because then you can get the perspective of a professor who has worked and is invested in the institution. I already talked about waivers or also offering gift cards. You always want to check with your school to see if there's resources available if you're in need for them. Again, this can save you $50. Some schools will give you gas, provide that extra kind of benefit for students who are in need of it. Also, those waivers, those application waivers, there are some institutions based upon income guidelines that students may qualify for, and you will never know unless you ask. So always ask if you fall into that pool of students, do you have a waiver option available? That way it saves you hundreds of dollars of different applications, especially if you're maybe applying to 10 different schools, because applications can vary from $50 to $100, and it can be very costly. They also have something now called the Common Application, known as the Common App, that has a lot of institutions listed on there. So if you submit that application, it's like a one-stop shop. You fill that out and it goes to those different institutions. But you want to make sure if the choice of the school of your choice is on that list, whether or not they are on that Common App, or if you have to do an individual application for that school. All right, so these are some factors that you want to consider in selecting a college. So obviously the academic environment. Are your major programs offered at this institution? The goal is for you to get there to gain as much insightful knowledge and wisdom about that particular field so that you can be the best person for that job once you graduate 4 years later. So you want to make sure that before you start to apply to a school, let's say you want to be a dentist. You want to make sure that that institution offers a dental hygiene program. If it doesn't, then maybe that's not the school for you if you know that those are your future career endeavors. You want to make sure that it has a good academic atmosphere. So again, do they have resources available? Do they have tutoring? Do they have coaching? Do they have mentor opportunities? Do they have the option of internships and externships? Because you want to make sure that you're making the best out of the environment that you're in to get the best education so that you are the best person for the job when you graduate. And if there's a place that you feel like is not set up for you to thrive, then that may not be the best place for you. I also want to talk about individuals who may have some type of learning disability. Maybe you're dyslexic. So you want to make sure that those institutions offer services that are available for you. As an example, I know SIU has like they have note takers. So for individuals who are not able to comprehend or be able to kind of really digest the information in class, they have note takers that are paid by someone at the institution that will provide those notes to the student at a later time. So those type of resources are very important. Obviously, cost. You want to know that you have the ability to afford the education. We will talk a little bit more later in the about scholarships, as well as, the FAFSA application and what that entails. But you want to make sure that this, again, is an investment. You don't want to get in a lot of debt, and you want to make sure that you're going to be able to reap the benefits from this education that you're going to get from this institution. The physical environment. So again, is it big or is it small? Do you learn better in a smaller environment in regards to a teacher-student ratio? Those are important things to, be on the lookout for when you're visiting these campuses. Also the social/cultural environment. Is it a diverse campus, with the students, with the staff, with the registered student organizations that they offer? These are all things to be considering when you are applying to schools, because again, you want to be somewhere where you feel like you can gain the most insightful information to be the best person out in the job. All right, so when should I start applying for colleges? Again, I said as early as freshman year, you can start looking. Obviously, you can't start applying at that time. A good time is typically your junior year, starting to kind of make that plan out, but you definitely want to be applying the summer before the beginning of your senior year, okay? Most students kind of start their application process at the beginning, in the fall of their senior year, starting to submit applications, starting to get their test scores sent. You want to make sure you do not go past the fall semester. You're really putting yourself in danger to missing out on application deadlines as well as scholarship opportunities. Those are very important because, again, if you miss out on those scholarship opportunities, maybe you were a full ride student. Well, you missed the application deadline, so you no longer qualify for that. So those are things that you really want to make note of. Next slide, Chloe. So how do I begin applying? So you want to find out what goes into an application and begin collecting the materials that you need. I always encourage individuals to create a folder for each college that you're applying to, or even a tab system. At the front of each folder, you want to put a checklist. So what is required? Required documents for the application, deadlines are always important to list. That way, you know when the application deadline is coming up and you don't have to go looking through several different piles of documents. You have everything in one binder or one file folder, and you can go in and check and highlight to kind of keep you on track. You want to make note of any fees that are associated with the application, as well as housing. Most schools require a housing deposit. You want to make note of those things. You want to make note of the cost if you live on campus or you're living off campus. I know obviously in the Carbondale community, we have John A. Logan College and SIU. So maybe you're a resident of the area. Maybe you're not required to live in the residence halls, and you can kind of compare and contrast what those costs will be. But those are things that you want to make note of, because again, college is an investment and it can be expensive, and you want to make sure that you have what fits your needs best. All right, so what does a college application entail? So you're going to have to list your name, personal information from you. They may require contact information from you. So that may be a high school counselor who's writing a letter of recommendation for you. They may require your ACT or SAT scores to see whether or not you fit the profile of the student that they're looking to recruit and retain. You're going to have to submit your high school transcript. This will have to have your GPA. I do want to make a note that some schools will take unweighted GPA, some may not take a weighted GPA. It's best that you contact that school to see exactly what GPA they will use to determine whether or not you'll be admitted to that institution. So again, recommendation letters, essays, you will have to list a major choice that you're interested in particular to the school. Also listing a minor is also very important as well in the event that you're interested in that. You also may want to list any extracurricular activities that you're participating in. I can tell you most schools will look for a more well-rounded student versus a student who's just excelling in the classroom, because they like to see that you're able to do different things and still be able to perform at a high rate. So those are things that you want to make sure during your junior or senior year that you're doing, participating, giving back to your community through community service. If you're maybe interested in being a dentist, maybe are you interning at a local dentist office to see that you have some type of experience in the field that you're trying to go into. How many colleges should I apply for? So I recommend between 5 to 8 colleges reasonable to start applying to. Again, you're going to continue to narrow down that list after you visit it, after you've kind of really seen the environment, what they have to offer to you. You want to have a top 3 list is what I recommend. Once you start to enter the spring semester, to start kind of getting ready to make your choice on the school that you're interested in. They should be all colleges, obviously, that you're going to be happy or interested in applying to. I always tell people, don't apply because your best friend is going somewhere and they think that it's the best fit for them. Well, that may be true, but it may not be the best fit for you. And you're never going to know that unless you exercise kind of that independence and really figuring out what works best for you. Again, you want to have realistic choices that match your majors and then your career aspirations. Where are applications located? So most schools have moved to kind of doing online applications, so electronic applications. They also have made it very easier for high school counselors to actually submit transcripts via Naviance and Parchment. So I always tell students to go with the electronic application. It makes it easier to track as well as to process. Paper applications sometimes can get lost. If you have to send them in the mail, it can take a longer time to process. So if the institution offers an electronic application, go. And then always, again, make sure that you are very, very specific about grammatical errors. It's very important to watch for that because colleges will be looking at that, making sure that students have been taking, obviously, it's serious when looking at these applications. Next slide, Chloe. All right, you want to complete most applications by January, again, your senior year. You don't want to be waiting to mid-March and May. Not to say that there aren't some schools that will accept you, but again, by that time, deadlines have already come and gone, and you don't want to be in a situation where your dream school is now unattainable at that time. You may have to transfer there after you've established a GPA. So those are things that you really want to watch for. Again, most universities require applications to be completed by January of their senior year. Around April 1st, they will tell you whether or not you have been admitted. Some may have early decisions where they may let the student know if they applied before that, hey, you've been admitted, you can start moving forward with your next steps. But again, you do not want to get into after applying. I don't recommend really trying to get admitted after January 1. As a freshman student, because again, most of those academic scholarships have already passed, and now you're kind of racing against other students who have now, maybe not gotten accepted into their previous schools, who may have higher GPAs, and may have, higher test scores. And when you start to look at the application pool, then you start to look and figure out, who is the best candidate, who do we feel will be the best to, admit into the institution. So those are things that you want to be thinking on. You never want to put them or yourself in a position where it's like a last minute, this is kind of like your last be all, like I'm going to go ahead and put my name in the hat because I haven't gotten admitted to any of my other schools. If you're going to do that, you don't want to wait until April or May, right before you graduate, and not know what you're going to do or where you're going to go. Next slide. Say thank you. Your high school counselor are there to serve as a resource. If you have not met with your high school counselor, I encourage you to do so immediately. It's important to do that throughout the 4 years of high school, but you definitely want to be in your high school counselor your junior and senior year, getting letters of recommendation from your teachers, getting letters of recommendation from your high school counselors. Now schools are offering students the option to actually have college counselors, college recruiters come into schools to talk about the services that they offer. I highly recommend taking advantage of those opportunities because, again, that may not be a visit that you have to actually attend in person. You may get all of the information prior to the actual visit. Next slide. The FAFSA application is something you want to definitely make sure that you fill out. Some students, based upon income guidelines, may or may not qualify for this. I do recommend everyone to complete it because whether you get, thousands of dollars or you get $500, you get something. So you want to make sure that you're taking advantage of it. Every school will have a code that's based upon that institution. You want to make sure that you get that code from that institution's financial aid office. They will always have their code listed on there. You want to apply for the FAFSA application as soon as possible. Once you know that you started to get admitted, you want to go ahead and submit your application to those institutions. Typically, the app opens up on October the 1st. We will go a little bit more in detail about that in regards, but you want to make sure that you are submitting it by October the 1st. In the state of Illinois, we have something that's known as MAP grants, and those typically will run out. So if you apply later, then your options or your opportunity kind of decrease significantly. So you want to take advantage of applying for everything as soon as possible. Next slide. So now I'm going to turn it over to Tatiana Mason, who will talk about the FAFSA application documentation that is needed in particular in regards to that. I also want to emphasize, if you have questions, please feel free to put those in the chat. We will reach out to students if we're not able to answer those directly during the presentation. We will shoot you an email. So please list your question and your email in the chat box, and we will respond with those answers. I'm going to turn it over to you, Tatiana.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So as stated, I'm just going to come to you really quickly and talk to you about the FAFSA application. So the FAFSA application typically opens up every year on October 1st. And the rule of thumb is to try and complete your FAFSA as closest to October 1st as possible to improve your chances for qualifying for most grants and the work study aid. So you can go ahead and fill out your FAFSA online at www.fasfa.gov. The application is pretty straightforward and an easy process. On the application, on the web page, you will click Start a New FAFSA button, and on the home page, and you will just follow the directions, which are pretty clear cut, that will help you complete the application. So I'm going to proceed to go ahead and give you some tips along the way. Next slide, please. So when you're completing your application, you will be required to remember or have a student PIN number. Typically, when I was filling out my application, it was a 4-digit PIN number. So it's kind of important that you create a PIN number that you can easily remember. I know a lot of times people have a debit card, and sometimes that may be easy for you to remember that 4-digit PIN number. It's a personal identification number that allows you to sign your FAFSA electronically. This same PIN is used to sign loans and contracts and to access certain information online. You can get your PIN as you fill out the FAFSA, but you also have the option to get that PIN ahead of time. It's important that you do not lose track of that PIN. You can get a new PIN or get your PIN reinstated if you forget it, but it's kind of important that you remember that PIN, something that's easy 4 digits. Getting a PIN before you begin the FAFSA can prevent possible delays, and it only takes a few minutes to complete that. Next slide, please. So here I'm going to talk about what's needed. The FAFSA asks for information about you and your financial situation. Depending on your circumstances, if you're filing as a dependent student, you might need the following information or documents to fill out your FAFSA. You will need your social security number. You will need your parents' social security number if you are a dependent student, and you will need your driver's license number if you have one. And if you are not a U.S. citizen, you will need your registration number. Next slide, please. You will need all your tax documents. I know when I was going into college, I did not have any tax documents because I wasn't working. So I just had to use all of my mother's information. So I had to use her IRS 1040. Some people may have a 1040A, a 1040EZ. Some may have foreign tax documents. And just any kind of tax documents that your parents or that you may have, you will want to submit. Records of your untaxed income, such as child support that you receive, interest income, and veterans non-educational benefits for you and or your parents, if you are dependent students, will also need to be obtained. Information on cash, savings, and checking account balances, investments, including stocks and bonds and real estate, but not included the home in which you live in, and business and farm assets to you and your parents if you are a dependent student. It's important that you keep track of those records, like Ms. Jacari stated previously before. When you are going through this process, it's kind of important to have a folder for each school, because you may, in the future, that you may be asked again to, re-verify or submit some kind of documents. So it's kind of important that you keep a hold of those documents and just don't discard them. Next slide, please. So this slide talks about types of aid. Grants and work studies are what we like to, us college students like to call free money, because this is money that you do not have to pay back. It's including scholarships, but Chloe is going to go into that. Caprice is going to go into that further as far as scholarships. But grants and work study is free money. That's money that you don't have to apply for. So that's why it's very important for you to try to apply as close as possible to October 1st for your FAFSA, so that way you can qualify for more grants and work study. That loan programs like Federal Perkins loan, subsidized loan and subsidized loans and Parent Plus loans, this is money that you have to pay back. So it's really important that you only borrow what you need. For example, your tuition maybe only be $20,000 a year, and you may be offered $30,000 a year. It's very important that you take what you need, because in the long run, you will have to pay those loans back, and they can cause problems in your future if you're not able to repay those loans in a timely manner. For example, in the future, if you want to get a home and you have a $10,000, or it builds up every year, maybe now you have $40,000 in loans and what you didn't need. So it's kind of important that you take exactly what you need when it comes to the loan programs. Next slide, please.
If it's okay, Sora, I just wanted to say a quick thing about the grants and work study, as well as the loans as well.
Yes.
Okay, so when it comes to loans, I just want to add, because of my personal experience, I took out a lot of personal loans, and there's a lot of difficulties when it comes to taking out personal loans in regards, or as opposed to just sticking with the money that the school awards you. Even when it comes to like the money that the U.S. Department of Education gives you, when you take out personal loans, and when you, like, if you take out, like, say 5 loans and it's $5,000. And so by the end of your term, you have all this money that you need to pay back, and you want to look towards consolidation. Consolidation companies look for your credit score. So when you're going into school and you come out of school and you graduate and your credit score is not good, you're not going to be able to consolidate your loans the way that you want to. So you want to consider those types of things when you're taking out a bunch of money. I know that it seems very easy, especially when you get into college and you want to pay for housing, you want to live in a nice house by yourself or with some roommates. It will seem very easy, but after all that is said and done and you're by yourself or you're trying to look for an apartment or you're trying to consolidate your loans, it can get very, very shaky and muddy when it comes to that stuff. So you want to consider that taking out personal loans or taking out or sticking with those grants and work study types of offers instead of taking out personal loans, unless you really have to.
Thank you, Sora, Chloe. So yes, it's very important that you watch what you take because it can affect you in the long run. So on the FAFSA application, it will ask you to list colleges. And I hope you took in all of the information that President Jacari told you about listing colleges. It's really important that you list the colleges that you're extremely interested in. While you complete the FAFSA, you must list at least one college to receive your information. The schools you list will use your FAFSA information to determine the types of amount of aids you may receive. So I'm probably going to keep reiterating this throughout the whole session, but it's pretty important to go ahead and complete that as close as October 1st as you can, so that way you can qualify for a lot of grants and work study aid. For the purpose of the federal student aid, it does not matter in what order you list the school, but on the next slide, I will get into if you are considering a school within your state. Next slide, please. Okay, so if you are considering state aid, several states do require you to list your state school first. For example, if you are thinking about a school within Illinois and a school in Missouri, it's important that you go ahead and list that school in Illinois first, and then go ahead and list your school in Missouri or any other school you want in alphabetical order. On your FAFSA, you have the option to list up to 10 schools on your FAFSA. Schools you list on your FAFSA will automatically receive your FAFSA results electronically. So that just basically, to sum that up, means that when you put all this information in here, the money that you will be given will be sent to the schools. And eventually down the line, you will receive a package with that information on there that will let you know that, hey, this is how much that we told SIU that we're willing to give you. So the schools will already have that information available to them. Next slide, please. What's your status? The FAFSA asks a series of questions that will determine whether you are a dependent or independent student for purposes of applying for federal student aid. If you are a dependent student, you must report your parent information as well as your own information as the FAFSA. So if you are a dependent student, it's pretty important that you sit down and complete this with your parent, because you are going to need a lot of their information to complete that, like their social security number as well and their tax information as previously stated. But if you are an independent student, that's something that you can complete on your own. However, if you do need help completing the FAFSA, it is no problem with requesting assistance or having someone complete that with you. Next slide, please. Whose do I use? If you are a dependent student, you will need to report your parents' information on your FAFSA. You might find that you are unable to provide your parents' information because you have no contact with your parents or because they refuse to provide their information. The tips below might help you out. If you are unable to provide your parents' information due to special circumstances, in such situations as the ones below, you may be able to submit your FAFSA without your parents' information despite being considered a dependent student. If your parents are incarcerated, if you have left home due to an abusive family environment, if you do not know where your parents are and unable to contact them, if you are older than 21 but not yet 24 and are unaccompanied and are either homeless or self-supporting and at risk of being homeless, these qualify you where you don't have to submit your parents' information. So, next slide, please. Signing your FAFSA. Before your FAFSA can be processed, you will need to sign and submit it here. Here are some tips as you finish your FAFSA. Be sure to sign your FAFSA student aid pin so your FAFSA will be processed as quickly as possible. Once you see your confirmation page, you will successfully submit your FAFSA. If you provided an email on your FAFSA, you'll automatically receive the confirmation page by email. There are a few differences between the email confirmation and the one you'll see in the FAFSA before exiting the application. So consider printing or saving your confirmation page before exiting. Like we previously stated before, it may be important to go ahead and print that page out and include it in that folder for each college that you choose. Next slide, please. Okay. When you fill out the FAFSA, you are also automatically applying for certain state financial aid. So like President Jacari previously stated, Illinois has MAP grants. So you are automatically applying for that MAP grant. In some cases, a state may require an additional application in order to determine your eligibility for state aid. There are some states that have a partnership with the FAFSA that allows you to transfer your information directly into your state aid application. So if you see a link on your FAFSA confirmation page to your state financial aid application, you should click on it. Your confirmation page offers the option for the parent information in your FAFSA to be transferred automatically into another student FAFSA. So if you have a sibling who see the confirmation page. Next slide, please. If you need help filling out your FAFSA, you can use these free tools. Read the help and hints located on the right side of any FAFSA on the web entry page. You can also click help at the bottom of any FAFSA on the web entry page. You can also chat, which is available in English and Spanish with live technical support staff by clicking the help icon with big question marks at the top of any FAFSA on the web entry page. You can contact the financial aid office at the college or career school you plan to attend. And for details about the purpose of FAFSA, questions and how and information should be reported in some unusual cases, try our guide called Completing the FAFSA. I know in my personal experience, I was a first generation college student and I had someone within my counseling office that was willing to help me. They sat down and helped me complete my entire FAFSA, including like the personal statement and just budgeting and everything. So I will also try to just utilize your resources within your schools to see if there's someone that can go ahead and, you know, help you with that application, and maybe someone directly in your school that will be willing to go ahead and sit down with you and complete that, or give you some help with tips and tools to complete that. So now we're going to talk about scholarships, and I'm going to pass it along to Sora Caprice, and she will give you more information about that.
Thank you, Sora. Good evening, everyone. I'll be talking about scholarships. So what are scholarships? A scholarship is an award of financial aid for a student to further his or her education. Scholarships are awarded based upon various criteria that reflects the values of the donor or the founder of the award, so the organization. Scholarship money is not required to be paid back. A scholarship might cover the entire cost of your tuition, or it might be a one-time award of a few $100s. Either way, it's worth applying for because it will help reduce the cost of your education. All right, types of scholarships. So there are merit-based scholarships, which is based on academic, whether or not you're artistic, you're athletic, or you're in an extracurricular activity. These are typically awarded by private institutions or by student colleges for their academic achievement paid directly to the institution. They can be needs-based, they can be based on student and family's financial record, and requires you to fill out the FAFSA, like Sora Titania was stating. They can be student-specific, which are scholarships that students must qualify based upon gender, race, religion, family, or other student-specific factors. They can be career-specific. So it can be awarded to a student from a college or university who plans to pursue careers in high-need areas, such as education, etc. They can be college-specific, which is given by individual colleges and universities to highly qualified applicants given on the basis of academic and personal achievements. These can result in full ride scholarships or reduce the rate of tuition. There are athletic awarded scholarships for students showing exceptional skill in a sport provided by their college. So how do you find scholarships? Basically, you can go to your financial aid office or your career school. You can talk to your high school or your counselor at your high school. The U.S. Department of Labor has free scholarship search tools. So like you can actually go onto the website and search tons of scholarships. Federal agencies, your state grant agency, your library reference section has scholarships. Foundations, religious organizations or community organizations, local businesses or civic groups. Other organizations like professional associations related to a specific school of interest. Ethnicity-based scholarships, or like your employer, if you're working, or your parents' employer. Sometimes people forget to ask or even think about like their parents' employer. So sometimes they have scholarships at their employer. All right, so applying for scholarships. So how do you apply? Each scholarship has its own requirements. So the scholarship website will give you an idea of who qualifies for the scholarship and how you can apply for it. Make sure that you read the application to its entirety. Fill it out completely and meet the application deadline. When do you apply for scholarships? Each scholarship has its own deadline. Some deadlines are 1 year prior to your college start date. If you're in high school, you should start researching and applying for scholarships between right after your junior year, so that summer prior to your senior year. Before applying for a scholarship, always make sure that it's legit to avoid scams. So sometimes we see stuff like on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat. Try not to click those links. Actually go to the organization or entity where you're interested in to make sure that that scholarship is actually legit. How does a scholarship affect my other student aid? So a scholarship will affect your other student aid because all of the student aid together can be more than your actual cost of attendance for the college or career school. So you'll need to make sure that if you are awarded a scholarship at any time, to make sure that you let your financial aid office know so that they can subtract that amount for your total cost of attendance. And that goes for like loans that you take out or other aid that's offered. That way, any amount left over can be covered by financial aid for which you may still be eligible for. If you have questions, always go to your financial aid office. They're able to help you if you don't understand something or if you just need better understanding. A few scholarship tips, just to kind of keep in mind that to increase your chances of obtaining a scholarship, you want to be very involved in your community and organizations. You want to increase your GPA and you want to perfect your essay skills. With some scholarships, you do have to complete some form of essay. So kind of brushing up on those skills are beneficial. Remember that you can still apply for scholarships while in college. I was a single mom in school, so I was able to find single mom scholarships or single parent scholarships. I also was able to use my resources. And so by that, I mean like in undergrad and in grad school, I had professors that would send me, they would actually talk to other professors and those professors would send me information on scholarships that I could, and were eligible for. And I didn't even know these professors. And so use your resources. You can, be well-versed in school, well-versed in organizations. And because people know other people, sometimes you hear, it's not who you know, it's not what you know, but who you know. Use your resources. So always remember that. And then if you miss a scholarship deadline, there will be other opportunities. Yes, you might get bummed out, but next time make a careful plan and make a goal so that you can actually complete it on time. And then apply for as many scholarships as you can. There's never too many that you can apply for. If you don't get it, you'll have maybe some other ones will come through, but go ahead and still complete them. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Sarah Chloe, and she's going to talk to you all about how to choose a major.
Okay, my screen is lagging. I'm lagging a little bit over here. So my connection is wonky. So if I pause or anything like that, just bear with me, y'all. Okay, so what is a major? A major is a grouping of classes that focuses on a particular subject or field. Your major generally reflects the area of study that you're most interested in and that most closely matches your interests. Choices. Selecting a college major is a personal decision that involves you spending time reflecting on your goals, your likes, your dislikes, your interests, and your skills. All of these things are things that you should be considering when you're making the choice on your major, because choosing your major is super important, hence the name major. It's a major decision that you're going to be choosing about your job that you're going to be working for the rest of your life. This choice that you're going to make is going to prevent you from saying and sitting at your desk one day like, oh, I really regret that choice that I made in college, you know? So right now, while you guys are in high school, you should be making those types of reflections, taking time to reflect on your goals, your likes and your dislikes, your interests, and the skills that you have that will go into the major that you choose when you're in college. You have to not only look at your interests, your abilities, and your goals, but you also have to consider what you'll need to be happy in the future. Coming from somebody that chose 3 different majors when they were in college, it took me a lot of time because I waited until after my freshman year to really decide on what type of major that I want. And that cost me money, and that also cost me time. I had an extra year of college that I had to complete because it took me so long to pick my major. While it would be nice to have an interest in one of the highest paying college majors, where the money's at, where the money resides, you know, everybody says that. It's also important to choose a college major that will ultimately lead to the career that you want to be in for the rest of your life. At some point in the process of choosing a college, you may have to choose a college major, or at least begin with narrowing down your options. So at the point that you guys are in right now, like I said, you want to start considering what skills you have, narrow down what options. You obviously don't want to choose a math major if you're not good at math. You don't want to choose a science major if you don't like taking science classes right now. You want to start considering those types of things, narrow down your options to figure out what things you really like and what major best suits you. While being undecided for a while is fine, you probably want to have some idea of what you want to do when you start the college application process. You want to make sure you make the right college choice. There's nothing worse than finding your dream school only to realize that it doesn't offer the major that you ultimately want. So like Jacari was saying earlier, you don't want to choose a college because your best friend is going there. You don't want to choose a college because your boyfriend is going there. And you don't want to choose a college because you like purple and yellow. You don't want to make those types of decisions when you're trying to choose your college. You want to figure out what majors do they have? What do they have at the school that I would really like to be a part of? Those are the types of things you need to be thinking of when you're choosing the school. Even though you know you can't put it off forever, choosing a major can be very tough. Like I said, I took a year and a half to figure out what my major was, but it cost me some serious problems at the end of my journey. So make sure that you're taking the time that you have right now during the process that you're applying for colleges to really decide on what major you want. And it's okay, you have time. Even if you get to college and realize, oh, this is probably not what I want to do, at least you took the time to figure it out. You know, it takes some time and it can be a little bit stressful, but you will make it through that process. It's very important to ask questions. Your resources are very valuable. Talk to your high school guidance counselor. They're adults, they've been through it, they know a lot of things, and they're a guidance counselor for a reason. So they can probably head you down the road that you need to head down prior to you getting into college. Engage in some serious self-reflection and ask yourself questions about your past, your present, and your future. Your past, mainly like what classes were you excelling in high school? What classes were you not excelling in high school? What activities did you really like in high school? Those are the types of things. Think about your future. What do you want to do when you're in college? Think about like what electives and stuff like that are types of things you want to start thinking about. Ask yourself some personal questions as well, such as what type of work do you enjoy? Hold on one second, sorry. Having some problems. What type of work do you enjoy? What are your interests? Which subjects do you enjoy studying the most in high school? If you completed a career assessment in high school, what did the results indicate? If you have never taken such an assessment, consider taking a college major test before selecting a program of study. I did this when I was in college, and after I took that assessment, I ended up picking the major that I fell in love with and I'm doing right now as my career. So I highly recommend you taking these types of assessments because it can really help you narrow down and give you insight to what types of majors are even out there too. What type of skills do you have? Do you have any hobbies that you would like to pursue as a career? And what did you learn about what you like and dislike from your past work experience? If I can, I'd like to ask the assistance of one of my sorors to read the top bullet point that I have up there because I can't read it. There's something blocking it. If one of you guys can interject.
It says, what type of career can you see yourself in?
Thank you. So what career can you see yourself in? Do you want to be a doctor because you want to be a doctor? Or do you want to be a doctor because your mom told you that you would look really good as a doctor? My mom told me, oh, you would look really good at school. I worked at McDonald's for 3 years, and every single time someone pulled up to the window, they were like, you need to be on the news. And what did I do when I got to college? I picked a journalism major and I switched out of it within a whole semester. So those are the types of things that you want to consider as well. How do I choose my major? Like I said before, you want to consider your interests, your personality, the skills that you have, and also your values. Reasons for choosing a major. The right reasons include, I really love studying this field. In fact, I even read about it in my spare time. Pursuing this major seems right to me. I feel that it's a part of who I am. I have many interests, but after doing my research, I think that's the best major for me. The wrong reasons include, my parents want me to study this. My friends are in this major. This major will lead to a career in which I make buckets of money in. Frankly, I'm too lazy to research this, so I'll just choose something else. Your interests. So the strong interest inventory SSI test provides workers divides workers into 6 categories called the RAISEC scale. Realistic doers have mechanical and/or athletic abilities. They enjoy building. They prefer concrete problems and working outdoors. The investigative thinkers are people who love analyzing things. They observe, they learn, they evaluate, and they solve problems. And they prefer to work alone, and often they're inventive people. Artistic people are the creators with innovative or intuitional abilities. They like unstructured situations. They use their imagination. They need to express themselves and are often emotional and sensitive. Social helpers are helpers. They like to train. They like to assist, inform, and cure other people, like working in groups, and they have good communication skills. They're friendly and they're also empathetic. Enterprising people are persuaders. They enjoy influencing people, managing, leading others, often for economic gain. They're energetic, they're ambitious, and they often they fall into positions of status and power. Conventional people are the organizers who like working with data and details. They have clerical and numerical abilities, and they are efficient and dependable as well. There is also a test that helps, that kind of is oriented towards your personality, the Myers-Briggs test. It categorizes test takers into 16 personality types. So also, like I said, you want to focus on your skills too. They're people skills like serving, helping, speaking, taking instructions, supervising, negotiating, and mentoring. There's also data skills, which are comparing, compiling, computing, analyzing, coordinating, innovating, and synthesizing. They also have things skills. This is the first one for me that I've never heard of, but this includes handling, tending, setting up, manipulating, and operating, and also controlling. So there's some functional skills that you want to, there's some self-management skills that you want to consider as well. These are personal traits or qualities like how you get along well with others, how you adapt to an environment, how you respond to authority, and how you manage and maintain yourself. These are some things that you also want to consider when you're getting into your job as well. So there's also some functional skills things that you should do, like fixing things. You can write well. Can you organize an event well? These are skills that can be used in a number of different ways or careers. Work content skills require training in a particular field. The examples include taking blood samples, throwing a curveball, creating a website, and cooking an elaborate dinner. Values, this is a really important one. Values are developed early in life and are motivators that indicate what's important to you. Things that contribute to your values are personal values and also family values, cultural values, and economic values. I know a lot of you, like, your family has raised you. So one of the things you really want to consider is, what are some values that your family has instilled in you since you were a child? Job shadowing and internships. Job shadowing is very important because it helps you kind of get a dig at what you're going to be doing before you actually get into that job. So look for some job shadowing opportunities before you get into college, like while you're doing your application process, so you can see beforehand and get some hands-on experience as to what this job entails, what you're going to be doing, what kind of personality you have to have while you're working the job, who you're going to be working with, how many people you're going to be working with, those types of things. Job shadowing allows you to observe professionals on the job and get insight into the practical side of a particular career. The people who grant you informational interviews may be willing to let you shadow them, and it might even provide a job opportunity later on in life as well. Certain employers like hospitals, schools, police departments, and nonprofit organizations are often happy to have interns and volunteers. Internships and volunteering gets you exposed to different work environments. Work experience. Every job is a learning experience, no matter what your job is, or whether or not it relates to fields you might want to study. Why is that? If nothing else, it might tell you what kind of work you never want to do professionally. I know from working at McDonald's that I never want to work as a manager. That's just something that I don't want to do. I'm not good with directing people to do things all the time. In certain aspects, yes, but in that type of setting, no. So those are the types of things you want to consider, and why job shadowing is a very important thing. More importantly, it gets you a real work environment in which you can observe your bosses, study the business, and show personal responsibility. It is also something to put on your resume. Don't panic. Selecting a college major is an important decision, and it is not one that should be made lightly. It is important to remember, however, that declaring a major is not an irreversible decision. You can absolutely change your major. The point is that you don't want to get to a point where you're changing it too many times to where it's costing you money and it's costing you time. So you can change your major, just make sure that you're changing your major with intention. That's not uncommon to change your major for college students, more times than after they enroll in college than before. Sometimes you need time, research, and reflection before you can choose a major. Setting college goals can help you, as can understanding different college majors, how they can move you closer to your goal. So when you do research on these specific majors, it can help you orient towards your goals and what you want to do towards life. Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry, not to interrupt you, but before you go on, you touched on as far as don't be discouraged about switching your major. Just like you had a personal story, I just want to really chime in to encourage them. I went in for pre-nursing and I didn't really qualify for that program. So SIU offered me a information where they gave me majors that correlated to the classes that I already took. So I ended up picking social work because a lot of the classes that I have already taken was directly correlated to social work, and I didn't have to spend more time in school. So like Chloe said, don't be discouraged to change your major if you have to.
Absolutely. Definitely don't be discouraged. The point of this is to not force you or force you to make a quick decision. We're just urging you to make an informed decision. Do your research, use your resources that you need so that you can make them, so that you can pick a major, so that you're not getting pushed into these positions like me and Tati have been pushed into, where we're taking more time or spending more money. Also, do your research. Like we've been saying, keep an open mind and be honest with yourself about the things that you like and that you don't like. Don't say that if you find a major that you make a lot of money in, or you know you can make a lot of money in, don't try to like be okay with the things that the job entails. If you don't like, or you're not okay with performing surgery on somebody, don't go and perform surgery on somebody just because you make a whole bunch of money a year. Do something that you really like doing. You're not going to want to sit over an open body for the rest of your life when you hate blood. That's not the best choice, right? So you can choose a college major that will steer you down the path of success if you take your time and what you need to do to choose your major. Choice of college. If you have your heart set on a specific university and a specific major, you just might want to ensure that the school of your choice offers a degree within that area. So do your research, go on the college website. You guys are Gen Z, Gen X, I think. I don't know what generation you guys are right now, but you guys know how to use Google. You guys were born into this stuff. Do your research. It's so available to you. Go on Google, type in SIUC, type in Missouri State University, type in whatever you need to. And if you guys need help with navigating what to type into a search engine, reach out to your guidance counselor. Like I said, use your resources and don't be afraid to ask questions, because it's very important to learn now to ask questions, or you guys are going to be sitting in these college classrooms looking crazy when you don't know how to ask any questions. The availability of your chosen major in your preferred geographic area can have a profound impact on your college search. So if it's not available in Illinois, it might be available in a different area. So you want to make sure that you're looking up if your major is offered in a specific area, state, or whatever. If you have selected a fairly uncommon major and cannot afford to or do not want to relocate, it is important to verify that local universities offer your selection. How much will it cost? If you choose an uncommon major that requires you to relocate, be sure that you consider all of the expenses involved in this process. Do your research, sit down with a pen and a notepad, write down how much it's gonna be, and then figure that out. And then do some more research on what you can afford. If you pursue a degree that is only offered at a few private colleges or even state universities in other states, expect to pay more. Tuition is typically higher out of state, and living expenses associated with relocating can be a burden. Also keep in mind the difficulties involved in balancing work and college. Can you afford to move for a major? Those are things you want to consider. I'm sorry, I cannot read the top, the header, but I'm just going to go into the bullet points. If you already have a major in mind that you think is a good fit for you, you might want to consider chatting with someone who obtained a degree in that field. Talk to your high school teachers. They might know somebody who's tried to go out in the field that you're trying to go into. Talk to your guidance counselor, talk to your mom, talk to your dad, talk to your aunties, your cousins, whoever you need to talk to. There's always somebody that might have been in a major that you're interested in. So try to look for somebody, or just ask questions to figure that out. They can provide information about the curriculum, the workload, and tell you about your experience looking for work after graduation. For some, the degree they choose might find, for some, the degree they choose might find a position easy. For others, their major was their greatest obstacle. Reflect on your interests, skills, personality, and values. Consider taking the MBTI and SSI test assessments, which, remember, I said is very important to help me choose my major that I'm currently in. Do your research on majors and careers using both library and online resources. Conduct some informational interviews, job shadow, volunteer, and get some practical work experience as well. Understand that choosing a major and subsequently a career is an ongoing process that may involve do-overs. It's okay if you fall, but it's most important how you get up and how you choose to get up. Choose a major for the right reasons as well. Don't choose a major because your mom told you to, or because your best friend is doing that. Choose a major because of your personal interests, what your skills are, and the values that you hold. And then here I listed some additional help. The Occupational Outlook Handbook. This is listed right here. I'm going to also paste it into the group chat too, so you guys can have that. And then I know this is just oriented towards SIU, but this is the Career Development Center. This is where I went to help me look for what major I wanted to go into. And then the Net Occupation Search is also another good one. It has all of the lists. It has a wide variety of lists of occupations, and then their oh Lord, my mind went blank. The job details. It has the job details in there as well. Does anybody have any questions? Feel free to drop them in the chat box or just unmute yourself and ask as well. There are no dumb questions, so please feel free to ask.
I just wanted to add that college was a very great experience for me. I was able to obtain my master's degree. I knew that I wanted to be in the field of social work, but I did not know that I wanted to pursue a master's degree. I didn't know that it was very important for my major. So that's another thing that I wanted to add about looking for your major. Be sure that you understand what it entails as far as your career path will go once you're out of college. Say for instance, if you would like to be a nurse, there's courses that you can take. But if you want to be a doctor, there's an extensive amount of education that you have to get. So personally speaking, I went to college in undergrad for social work, and I minored in psychology. And then I was told, well, if you want the six-figure career that you really desire, that you want, you have to go back to school. So I did that. But so I want you guys to know that still, if you have a major that you want to do, if you want to be a doctor, go for it. Absolutely go for it, and continue to get your education. Knowledge is power. So don't feel like you're knocked down because, oh, you have to go do it. It's actually to benefit you in the long run, especially if you want to retire early. So if we don't have any questions or any add on or any comments, I really, really, really appreciate everybody that came and was able to listen and view our presentation. It means a lot to us. We would love to share more. If you guys would like to email us personally, any of the speakers that spoke, if you would like any more education from us, we have no problem. Again, thank you.
So before everybody leaves really quick, thank you, Jaylee. I appreciate what you said. Thank you again, like Jaylee said, for everyone participating in our CAP virtual workshop. We hope that you were able to gain helpful and insightful information about the college application process. We invite you to our CCHS attendees to sign up for our monthly meetings that will occur on the second Tuesday of every month during the SSR hour. You guys know what the SSR hour is. So please feel free to sign up if you want to. Please sign up with Lori Coaster. I hope I'm saying her name right. If you're interested, the program is open to both juniors and seniors. Please follow us on social media to stay informed on future programming and activities. And again, thank you for attending this afternoon. We hope to connect with you in the future. And like Jaylee said, please shout out to anybody or reach out to anybody if you need any information. We will provide you with any of the information that you need.
Thank you, Sora. Thank you, everyone.